All right.
I
Hello and welcome to session 5 of 5 for Legacy Life Among the Ruins. You've caught us kind of in the middle of doing some of the uh, uh, like setup right now. We're doing the turning of age. We've made those rolls. We haven't made those choices. Turning of age means that our game moves forward a little bit, and our players have a chance to make up new characters. In two of the cases, it's because their PCs died last session. So we are going to be doing a little bit of that kind of setup here at the start. It's a process that we'll go through. We'll get what we need to establish some connections and get rolling forward. If you're watching this, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. Gauntlet Hangouts is an online gaming community that I babble on about at the beginning of all these sessions. If you're here at session 5, I don't need to go much further except to say gauntlet-rpg.com. Go and check it out. Safety Tools, the X card. We've done our lines and veils. We are here. Right now, our players are currently working on making some of those changes. Ari Pardslip is a survivor then?
Yeah, Pardslip is the survivor playbook.
And Sherry, you're sticking with Salvo of the Spears?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Though I may change my role.
Well, you will change your role. And when the age changes, you're going to pick a new role move, which will give you a new thing, and you will get an advance for your character then.
Okay.
Okay. And then Patrick, the new face of Kanta.
Sort of a Kanta is gone, long live Kanta sort of thing.
Okay. And you were doing the Saint
Yes.
and getting those things set up. Robert, what are you thinking of for your new character from the Crows?
Oops, I'm muted. I'm thinking the Reaver.
Oh, nice. That's a good hard-hitting playbook. And I don't think we've seen that in play yet, so interesting. Well, I'm going to give you all a few minutes to kind of get those things set in there. And when we finish with that, we're going to talk about the wonder that has been established, just to remind people of what that does. And we're going to walk through that turning of the age process. And let me get to that page in the book here.
So just as a piece of something I'm noticing about the Saint playbook, because it's all about like saving people or taking damage for other people, its harm track is stoically silent, no penalty. Labored breath, no penalty. Badly bruised, no penalty. Internal bleeding, -1 force. Dead.
That's good if you want to tank for the group.
I just think it's interesting that you're like barely showing any signs of anything until you just drop.
They have built a lot of really interesting little bits in those choices. Like they've got all kinds of little dials that when you look at them, I really appreciate. When we go to the moving the clock forward, when the age turns, you've already made your rolls, so you know what you're getting. We'll make those choices about trials and fortunes. And then we will have everybody give a broad sense of what has happened with their family, changes, doctrine, change to the doctrine, lifestyle, assets, tradition, as you wish. You can declare a new custom or a new festival for your family. And you'll be able to add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map. Right now, we have 2 threats that I think are remaining that are still out there as a serious issue. One of them is, of course, still the monsters, the great ancients that come through the rift there. But we also have the elves, the elvish invaders that are still present as a threat. I believe that we had the wonder take care of the threat of the drugs. Last time we took care of the threat of that valley, and the lich also got gagged, sadly, even though I begged for mercy for my lich. Sherry would not be turned, and she put a cap in his ass. So that is how that went.
I will say, just as a preview for my turning of the age, I do think Melloc is still going to be a problem in a new way.
Oh, okay. Well, then that'll be awesome. And once we're done with that, we'll introduce our new characters and make all of those choices and so on, and do the the backstory, since that'll give us a sense of what has happened. Sherry, I believe that for your family, you got a trial and a fortune.
Oh, I did. And I didn't think about it at all because I'm the worst player. So I will go and look.
You're not the
those up.
worst player.
Okay. There's someone worse. Okay, good.
So if you pull up those sheets in the folder, do you want me to send you the folder link too?
Yes.
Okay, of course. Okay, maybe you are the worst player.
At least very close.
Nice.
Very close to the bottom.
Find that legacy folder. Grab that link. I'll also point out that you have a copy of the book nearby you.
Oh, but it's under a piece of paper. So thank you.
Oh, lol, I think you switched us to view only on the character keeper.
God bless it. I said for it to edit. Hang on. Even when it does the link sharing, when you share the folders and say can edit, it still does that. There we go. That should be reset. That's on page 74, Sherry, if you've been able to move that piece of paper and get at the book.
Can you go on to someone else?
Absolutely. Patrick, I believe that you got a trial and a fortune as well. I think that was the all-around result from everybody.
No, I got 2 trials.
That's right.
I went and double checked, but yeah, I had a -2 mood from building the wonder.
Absolutely. So have you looked at the trials? Do you kind of know what has happened to your family and what you want as those trials?
Yes, that is the one thing I did manage to get done ahead of time.
Okay.
Which was, I did not get my character done ahead of time, but I'm totally ahead on this.
That's okay.
So 2 trials, and just as a note, I put the text of the wonder, the Nest of Eobon, on the Family Moves tab next to the trials and fortunes.
Oh, nice.
Anyways,
Oh,
so
yeah, I forgot we
first
put
is
those on. Thank you.
something monstrous from out of the wasteland took a particular dislike to your family and has been hounding them ever since. Say some secret you've learned about it, gain 2 magic from scavenged parts of it, but take disadvantage on family moves against it.
So what is this?
I think because like as we were doing the ritual last time, we called the spirit and essence of Eobon, the twin lover gods, into the nest, but they're hideously deformed and desecrated corpses were left buried under the mountain, and I think they have risen as their own force, evil, demigod, behemoth, whatever. The corpse god has risen up out of the mines of Melloc.
That is wondrous, and I'm enjoying it. I'm glad to be part of this plan.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And continuing out of that, I think there was a very particular plague ravaged my family, especially the many people of my family that had gotten hooked on Melloc. as they're going through their detox and the last bits of their drug are still in their system as this god awakens and turns. I think he sent his curse through them. So a plague ravaged your family and no other families could help. Afterward, they promise aid in the future. Gain 3 treaty, split between any families you wish, but take need medicine, which I already had need medicine. So I took morale. Is that a good follow-up need?
That's a good follow-up.
So I'm now at mood -3.
Ooh.
And I took 2 treaty on the spears, just because I think they are of the sort that would feel guilty having been in this endeavor with us, even though we mostly talked them into it. I think they would feel guilty about their inability to help. And I took 1 on the crows as well, just because I think there was probably a situation where they like refused help to a band of my people in preference to like the city or settlement they were protecting, and then they had to see like the plague spread across some of their people through the countryside because my people went out there and spread it.
And tell me, what is the plague like? What is the plague of an undead fertility god?
I do think it's sort of like a living zombie disease, or like a like hyper advanced leprosy sort of situation where
Okay.
it's just these bodies are being eaten apart from under them, but they're still mobile and alive.
So like an unchecked kind of growth of something awful in them.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. That certainly gives us a good, horrible vision. All the work that you did to create that wonder, and this is the where you are. You'll have to consult your visitant to see if they can help you. Sherry, do you now have a sense of your trial and fortune?
Yeah. I think that I'm going to go with starvation and poverty, force the family to try raiding and thieving, and it pissed people off. I gained some surpluses, but we give 2 treaty to the other families for the trial.
Okay. Who did you raid?
Let's see here. That is a good question, because a lot of people were not in very good shape. So
Truth?
Probably the wretched, the fabulous paupers.
Okay.
At least they complained that we did. I wouldn't say that we did. And then probably who? Probably the crows. And
Okay.
again, as much as anything, it's because we had no sense of what their croplands were because of the storms and stuff. So I'm sure that we took their stuff, didn't realize it until we'd taken way too much of their stuff to turn it back, is that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But
So what do you think are going to be the 3 surpluses that you're going to have?
let's see here. That's a good question. The surpluses, what page are they on?
They are on page 31.
Yes, they are a magnificent list that always goes, I wouldn't have thought of that. So let's see. How about if we end up with barter goods?
Okay.
If we end up with
And feel free, of course, to rework some of these in terms of magical convention.
Sure. Rare materials.
Okay.
And
you can also have surpluses to answer your needs.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe that's what I should go with. You're so clever. Let's see if any of those fit. Yeah, how about if we take care of transports?
Okay.
So how about we finally get a decent set of wyverns worked out?
Okay. So transports, rare material, and barter goods.
Okay.
And then following up on that, on page 74, what is your fortune?
Our fortune is that I think I'm going to go with we find a hidden vault still intact from the world before, and say what the true treasure was, and gain 2 tech from initial scavenging. But we do have a need trade.
Okay.
So, which actually cancels out trade that I have, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay.
And so you'll get 2 magic from that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about this vault.
So the vault is
Probably a dungeon.
You think?
Okay. Must be a mega dungeon, right?
No, I think that actually what it is that in the mountains, there was essentially we found a pass, and then it was well obscured and all of those things, and it was actually going in through that and finding a sort of place that was super untouched, except for like it was like clearly had previously been a garden,
Okay.
or a sort of like a tended place, because there were plants and things like that we had never seen, and trees like we had never seen. But there was also a temple structure, and clearly there had been a library there. That's all gone, but were tons of carvings and things like that in there, and it was sort of taking those things and starting to work on that, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. So I'll have you later on put a marker for that on the map.
Okay.
All right. And I think we kind of established that probably at least a decade, maybe 2, has passed in the turning of this age. I think that seems a reasonable amount of time. Ari, I believe you got a trial and a fortune. Am I right?
Let me look at my notes. I have 1 trial, 1 fortune. That's right.
Absolutely. And someone generously has put those on the Family Moves page towards the bottom.
I was just going to ask. That's very helpful. Bottom of. There it is. Okay. 1 trial, 1 fortune. Oh gosh, there's a lot of choices here.
Yeah. I have to update this to the final book version because these are a little older, but
Yeah, this kind of makes sense. Starvation and poverty.
okay.
Because I'm a survivor, things have been tough. Starvation, poverty force your family to try raiding and thieving, and it pissed people off. Gain 3 surpluses, your choice, but give 2 treaty to 2 other families.
Okay. So who have you raided?
Can it be NPCs as well as PCs?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to raid those Viking elves just to show them how
Okay.
raiding is really done.
Fair enough.
And let's see who else. Any players here that would like to be raided? Otherwise, I'm just going to look for more NPCs. You get 2 treaty.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it if you want to raid the crows or whoever. Yeah.
All right. You
The
spoke
poor
up first.
They've been
Crows are-
devastated.
Let's go with the crows and the elves for that then.
Excellent.
I'm just going to take some quick notes. So they're going to have 2 treaty on me.
Okay. And you'll have to figure out what you want for your 3 surpluses. They can be new things, or they can be answering your needs that you have there.
Okay.
And what is your fortune? What good thing happens in the course of this?
I think I'm going to go with the second one. Through marriage and trade, you earn one strength of another family. Take a move from their playbook, but they get 2 treaty on you. Let me just see which ones. This is a family move, right?
This is a family move. And feel free. We do have essentially effectively the Gilded Company of Merchants. We haven't defined what the Dwarven family would represent, or even what the Elvish family would represent. So if you want to take from them and say, well, this is in fact the family that they are, you could do that.
Yeah, what would be interesting is that Elven, since I was raiding them, what stopped the raids was this sort of trade and marriage.
Okay. Then I'll let you tell us what family playbook they are. But go ahead and go through that. I'll let you have some time.
Okay.
On that. Robert, how did the crows make out at the turning of the age?
Not great. So yeah, I got one trial on fortune.
Okay.
For the trial, I went ahead and went with your family suffers persecution and violence.
Oh yeah.
Given that everyone's raiding me. But it pushes them to adapt and grow, gain a new family move, but need revenge.
Okay.
So I went ahead and did that.
And what do you know what you want to take for your new family move?
The new family move I took is round up the posse. So when you brandish your family's authority in a non-hostile land, you can recruit a gang of locals to fight at your side.
Excellent. And then what for fortune?
For fortune, you go to war, whether for justice or spoils, gain +1 grasp and surplus weaponry, but someone out there holds a grudge. Take disadvantage on all reach moves against them until they've been dealt with for good.
Ooh, who do you go to war with?
I think it's the paupers.
Okay.
I think we started kind of kidnapping some of their people.
That's right.
And sort of forcing them into fighting for us. And for whatever reason, they didn't like that. So they started causing trouble. And at the same time, we were being raided by everybody. So we're just like, you know what? We'll just deal with it. We'll just go take them over.
Okay. So we begin with you at war with the paupers, but you have disadvantage on reach moves against them. Excellent. That brings us around. Let's come back to Patrick. We've got a sort of general sense of what has happened through these trials and wonders to your family in these decade and a half, 2 decades that have passed. Are there any changes to your family's doctrine, to their lifestyle, assets, traditions?
So first, and definitely not to buy time or anything. Why would you say that? I don't think we actually triggered the death moves of the player characters that died last time.
That's right. Let us look at those. So that was a hunter, and the hunter's death move. Let me find that here. The hunter's death move was when you mark your dead box, you make 1 final strike, destroying or killing whatever killed you, and that definitely held true in the course of that. The cutting down of our horrible force of evil there, Pharaoh, and then you were the sentinel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the sentinel's death move is when you mark your dead box, plant your feet, and make your last stand no matter what. You remain fighting till allies are safe and danger has passed. Only then do you die. And I think we saw that as well. And then did you want to trigger your death move for your quick character, Patrick?
Sure. Tabs.
Hey, Lowell, quick question.
Absolutely.
This family move that I'm taking, is it from any family or a specific family playbook?
So it should be if you want to, if you know your alliance is through the elves, so you should take it from their family playbook and tell us what that family playbook is for the elves.
Okay, where is that? I guess that's what I'm confused.
The
on.
family moves tab.
Okay, I didn't.
Oh, not the family moves. The families tab. Sorry.
Okay, which one is the elves? Because I didn't.
That's for you to decide.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So are they lords of the depths? Are they
Okay.
a coalition?
I got it. Cool.
Planar exiles.
Yeah, that might be good.
So for Pharaoh, I did actually do her death move. It was revealing the mission's final step, and if they do it, it would succeed. Where I said that oh, now his name is gone. But Ari's character could just sacrifice himself.
Amaranth.
Amaranth.
Yeah,
So,
I screenshotted Amaranth in case we need anything.
So let me ask you this then, Patrick. Any changes to your family's doctrine, lifestyle, traditions, any of that?
Yes. So I think in the traditions, the populace, I had been at ephemeral beings who cling to fleshy husks, and that's sort of like they have this mythos and strange otherworldly air about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think given our like traveling troop nature and now this disease, I think it's a carnival of freaks and oddities, as they've taken a more sort of like sideshow approach to some of their traveling shows and incorporated some of the strange physical deformities into like shows of awe and shock. I think the style stays the same. They still have those silks and alabaster masks, but the governance has changed as well.
Okay.
Where before it was the seers that were studying songs and plays for like visions of the future. Now I think it's sort of solidified around the Kanta character. So a ringleader that holds the reins of power and passes them on to an appointed successor.
Nice. Anything you want to say about new custom or festival that occurs?
Did you say we could change our doctrine as well?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
I do think I'm going to change that.
Ooh, lots of transitions.
I know, right? From the masked Sybarites, I'm going to change to Masters of Obligation, with this sort of like the piteousness of the plague victims. So when my family calls in a debt, the opposing family must spend an extra point of treaty to counter it or roll their hold together with disadvantage.
Very nice.
Custom.
Custom or festival that occurs in these 2 decades?
I don't think a festival would come out of that, but
Probably not.
I do like a custom of I guess it just fits in with it, but like a pilgrimage to the nest, especially for the afflicted.
Yeah.
That they make these, like there's certain strictures or like actions that you have to take along the pilgrimage in order to make it fully devotional and effective. But these people just going and desperately sort of begging for help from the sort of nesting gods.
You may add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map.
I feel like I added a threat. Do I have to do another?
No, actually, if you've already added that with the thing, I think we can consider that
Okay.
as a thing that is on there. Tell us about Canta. How you are what you're imagining this Canta is like. How do we know that it's a different Canta?
Yes.
And what role they're taking.
So I think this is like where Canta before was very tall and sort of emaciated thin. I think this is Canta has mysteriously shrunk over time, or reports of their extreme height in the past were just overblown, stilts or whatever.
Right.
A little stockier now too. But let's see, I am on the wrong tabs forever. A little stronger and a little more just endurance-based Canta, but not nearly the compelling orator that they were before. Sway has really dropped. I had not chosen on rolls yet, but for moves, there's Courage to Conquer, which is when you assess the risks of a disaster, roll steel, and ask questions. And Strength to Bear, which is when disaster befalls your allies, you can show up right where you're needed most in the nick of time.
Nice.
And then this is what cued me to think about death moves. When any character marks off their dead box, they won't die as long as the saint actively keeps them alive. If you mark off your dead box in the process, you won't die until your charge is delivered from harm.
Ooh. Excellent. So you're running the party cleric. I get that. I understand.
A cleric who can't heal.
Yes. Let's come to Sherry. We've gotten a general sense of what has occurred, the raiding and the finding of this valley, Lost Valley. Do you want to make any changes to your doctrine, lifestyle, assets, or tradition? You are muted.
Yeah, I do think so. I think that the family has had to deal with a lot of different things. So one of the things is that we used to be nomadic, and I think that we are or dispersed, and then they were nomadic. And I think that right now what it is they're dispersed, but they're a different kind of dispersed. There's not a few in everything. It's more like they have two main holds. And then they have a groups of people who are, of course, always moving around, watching and trying to keep an eye on the manta dragon.
Okay.
But that sort of thing. So, but they've got a weird, like, two hubs that they're working from kind of thing. So that's changed their thing. I guess you would call it dispersed, but.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably am going to change their doctrine as well. It used to be Carrion Market, which, of course, all of the things for the Order of the Titan are so like metal sounding. It's but anyway, wow, yeah, exactly. But I think I'll go with the Hell Crusaders. So it just says when a behemoth attacks, say where you find a surplus, it'll help you fight it off.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Um.
And then traditions, I think that pilgrimages and secrets have started to become more of a thing.
Okay.
For us. In some ways, the whole really having to resort to raiding shook the family. And I think that they've put a lot of ritual in place to, what do you say? they say to protect themselves from falling, like to not have to ever do that again. But a lot of it is sort of trying to convince themselves that they weren't what they were at that time. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So is that pilgrimage the new custom that has arisen?
Yes.
Okay. So pilgrimages all around.
Right. Also, and serving as pilgrimage guards in some ways.
Oh, okay.
So if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that whole idea of traveling to a place of refuge or wisdom becomes more important.
Do you want to add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map?
I think I want to add a new faction.
Ooh, interesting. I'm listening.
Yeah. And I think that what would work is essentially the compromise of manners was a compromise. And there's a certain point at which one of the groups of childlike elves that look just like all the other childlike elves has broken off and started another orchard. And they are much more prickly than the compromise of manners. You don't have a sense that they're at war with compromise of manners, merely that their disagreements were so deep, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Give us a name, and then later I'll let you put that on the map. What is the name of this group?
The graft.
The Graft.
But
Excellent.
not graft in the sense of theft, but graft
Right.
in the sense of orchard keeping.
I see what you did there. Salvo still lives. A couple decades on, she's getting up there in years, right? What is Salvo's new role?
And that's like seeker and that kind of thing, right?
Leader, agent, rebel, outsider, prophet.
Oh, probably going to go with prophet.
Okay.
But also, I think that I would have to change the role, like instead of being a seeker. Would that be correct?
You don't have to. No, you actually, because you choose a new role, you get a new move.
I get a new move. Okay.
Yeah. Now you could change your playbook,
Okay.
your character playbook if you wanted, or you could stay with seeker and take a new move from seeker.
I'll go look, but I'm thinking I'm probably going to end up taking a new playbook, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Or a move from a different playbook. I don't know. Why do you ask me these hard questions?
I ask you these things because that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll come back to you. You figure that out.
I'm the worst.
You forget what's the name of that group? The Graft. Okay. All right. We'll get that on the map. Ari, our keepers of the Ember. Are there any changes to the keepers' doctrine, lifestyle, assets, all that?
Doctrine, no, but I did take that move for the family.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Doppelgangers. When you roll a hit on subterfuge, you may declare that some member of the targeted family or faction has been replaced with duplicates loyal to you. When you activate the sleeper cell, roll plus sleight, and then it gives me a bunch of cool options to undermine, I suppose, or alter them.
So
ways.
what is the family that these Viking elves are?
Yeah, I think they're sort of like they could be like spies and assassins that use magic to blend themselves in, and so that I learned that from them. And they're kind of dispersed. Some of them live among other families, and then just have sort of secret meetings and things like that.
And so they are planar exiles. They are elves. They said they came from over the sea, but in fact they came from outside this world.
Yeah,
right?
This would tie in very nicely with where's that place? The Dagon's Divide, if that's a connection, perhaps.
Absolutely, I like that. Any other changes to doctrine, lifestyle, assets, or traditions?
don't think so.
Okay. Have you established a new custom or a new festival?
I think there is a new celebration, sort of like mourning of the loss of our leadership. We had what was her name? Pharaoh
Mm-hmm.
was sort of a matriarch of our hunting bloodlines, and the loss of Pharaoh has really hit us hard. And that event at the mouth of Ash is sort of remembered every year. Probably has had huge impacts on it. Probably led to the sort of downfall of our family.
Ooh.
That's why we turned to raiding and pillaging, for a while.
Do you want to add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map?
How about a group of another splinter family that has seized the Lich is gone, of course.
Yep.
But they sort of remember this being as sort of it's weird that they believe this, but they thought of him as a stabilizing figure because it was after their defeat that our family had gone through all these problems. So they kind of venerate this Lich.
And we've got the bones of the undead monster that the Lich was riding up there already on the map.
Yeah, where's that? Oh, that's
That
way
is-
up.
Yeah.
Is that way up top?
Just above the Spectral Pass, just to the east of the Jeweled Spawn.
Yeah, okay. Let's call that I'll call it the Fields of Veneration.
Okay.
And I'll put that up there next to that broken down Stay Puffed thing.
And then tell us about Pardslip.
Yeah, so Pardslip is the protege of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was his aunt, and Amaranth was her cousin. And that the loss of those family members and being the only one that survived that event left them kind of haunted and kind of broken. But there's this lean character, very tall, wary eyes, weathered face. He wears the homespun cloak of Amaranth. It was the last thing left of his family members there.
Excellent.
And I took things I've seen for Hunter's Lore.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that's not Hunter's Lore. I need to retitle that. Things I've seen. Monsters birthed by fall. When a horrific monstrosity attacks, name one thing that'll help you survive and take advantage of your first roll that uses it.
Nice.
And this won't kill me. When you suffer harm, roll steal on a 10+, choose 2, and it gives me ways to mitigate harm. It's a very tough character that's been through quite a lot and seen a lot.
And what are you taking? You took a rebel for your roll move?
Yes. In fact, what I'm thinking with that is they're trying to bring back Pharaoh or the
Trying to
spirit of
resurrect
Pharaoh.
their mom?
Well, his aunt, right? Was it mom or aunt?
No, it's mom.
Mom. Okay. Yeah, that's even more direct. Yeah, they're trying to bring back their lost mom. That's pretty crazy.
Okay.
Sorcery. Sorcerer's Marvel. You'll be able to do it.
So you have found the rod of resurrection, and you can use that to bring back your aunt, but of course it won't come back exactly.
Right. What aunt or mom? Mom, right?
Mom. We're gonna get that mixed up throughout the rest of the day.
That's okay. It's my fault. Well, it's written down as aunt, and then I think we played it as mom in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That brings us to you, Robert, and our crows. Any changes to lifestyle, doctrine, assets, tradition?
Yes. Let's see. So on traditions, yeah, I switched the populace to a gathering of the wronged and vengeful.
Oh, yeah.
Because like over the last age, they've been kind of secluded in this tower all by themselves. They're kind of, they're supposed to be keeping the law and protecting everybody, and they've been just kind of secluded there. So now they feel very wronged. They've lost multiple homelands at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Their style, at this point, they're just becoming more violent. So their style is bristling weapons and barely contained violence. And I think that was the only changes on that.
Okay. Is there a new custom or festival that has come about as a result of this?
So remind me, what are the customs? Is that just...
It's a very generic way, is the way I've been handling it, whether it's a new belief, the change of clothing or way that they handle things,
Yeah, I
particular
mean,
language they use.
I think in general they've just become more aggressive, in a sense that before they were trying to be very passive lawgivers, and now they are much more aggressive. Like, hey, sometimes you have to be violent to uphold the law.
And you may add a threat, opportunity, or faction to the map.
So previously we had Skypiercer, the large tower that, at one point in time was so tall it went through the sky. And I think somewhere else on the map, yet to be determined, there is something very similar to Skypiercer, but it's coming down from the clouds.
Oh, wow. All right. Do you have a name for that yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I will come up with something.
All right. Well, let's talk about your character here before you go to do that. Tell us about your new character, your Reaver.
Yeah, so I'm playing so the Reaver's name is Line. And this goes, so the Reaver is pretty crazy. But like, I'll just start with, so he has a move, My Kingdom, My Rules, which is, thanks to your heritage, strange magic, or pure grit, you're more comfortable in some region outside the safety of the homeland, which the examples it gives is the precarious ruins, the deep seas, the immaterial digital realms, off-world void, tunnels underground, or somewhere else. You're perfectly adapted to that harsh reality and have advantage there. Also pick 2 to describe the method of transport used to travel to the homeland and back. I think Line is like the first born after the lawgivers formed their little pact with the elves and learned their god-bleeding magic.
Okay.
And Line is able to travel to and from their home plane. And I think he can make the trip quickly, and he can take others and items too, but the trip is not safe.
Okay. I like that very much. I like the idea that these elvish Vikings are maybe don't have as much access as you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he has, like, he's been around this magic since he was born, and he's been kind of holed up in this tower, just kind of practicing it and working on it. And that's how he moved up sort of in the ranks of the lawgivers also, is by wielding this weird elvish planar Viking magic.
And your other moves are?
Other move is Beauty is Unbearable. So when you plan out how to steal something, ask the GM 3 of these questions. The first time you act on each answer, roll with advantage.
Okay. All right. I think that gives us a decent sense of who you are. Let's come. I don't necessarily want to do all 3 of the backstory questions, just for time's sake. But let's cut one and do 2 of them. Patrick, can I come back to the new Canta?
Yes. And I think I can actually compress my backstories and role choice here all into a sort of thing.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the role I went with was Rebel. Mark when your people cut ties to a family or faction. Tell us of the disaster that hits that family or faction, and then leave at once to provide them much needed aid.
Okay.
So I think the family officially, like Silver Tongues, have just cut ties with the Crows. They blame them for like perceived turning them away. They blame them maybe irrationally for some of the spread of the virus. And so the family has cut ties with them. Then I don't know, something elven or weird that hits them as a disaster. Maybe when playing with this like new magic.
Okay.
Do you have an idea about that, Robert?
I mean, yeah, that playing with weird god magic taught to you by extraplanar elves could go bad in a lot of ways. I mean, so yeah, I was saying that my character can travel to and from the elvish plane. Like maybe when we're dealing with that magic, sometimes people just involuntarily disappear to that plane.
Gotcha. So, so yeah, I think the official family level is like we're at war, we're not dealing with the crows, but Kanta themselves went off to save blah blah blah. Line, was it Line? Line and their closest family from disaster, but Line still blames me for the way the disaster turned out.
That's nice.
So I think that's, you know, two of my backstories work together.
Okay.
So I think there was like one member of your family that somehow Kanta didn't save from this transporter disaster. But they did show up weirdly just in the nick of time to try and help with the magical overload that was going there and get y'all out of it.
Nice.
So I like that. I like that mixture of like debt and blame. And then the other one, Blank is the one that rescued me from myself. I owe them everything. And I think that's probably Salvo. Our families have always been very close. And I think Kanta, when the plague was like ravaging hardest through their people, tried to go off and just like deal with the corpse god themselves. In that sense of I'll just, you know, Kanta is the one that caused this problem, started this problem to them. I will offer myself, I will offer the story of Kanta to this corpse god, and they'll surely leave us alone. I think Salvo saw through the bullshit in that.
I like it. Let's come to Salvo then. Salvo, while you haven't changed, the people you would interact with have changed. So let's get a couple of your backstory questions.
Dang it. Where can I find those backstory questions?
It is in the playbook.
Okay. I'm not
So
that far
you
from
will
it.
find those. You are the seeker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Page 204, I believe.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Story.
Gosh, I just have those three. So
You can modify them. They are ones of your choice. We want at least one, probably two of them, so we get a sense of what your connection is to these other characters.
So I think the thing with the new Kanta, and I'm super aware it's not my Aunt Kanta,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. I think that in some ways it's the absence of my aunt, but the sort of the continuation of Kanta that sort of actually, for the first time in my life, makes me see and start understanding that philosophy and thinking past the most immediate problem is important. Like it is her absence that has finally made that clear to me, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah.
And so current Kanta is a touchstone for me for the absence and for the difference, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
there's
neat.
this shape of my aunt that is very clearly outlined to me.
That's cool.
That seems good. Are you happy with that as your backstory stuff? Or do you want to do
Yes.
another one? That's nice.
Sure, I would love to have a relationship with Line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your relationship with Line?
Um,
This highly violent Reaver crow.
yeah, I think that he was probably one of the people that harried um, uh, the hunters, essentially after we had raided. And again, it was a person that that I knew almost more for their actions before I met them. Of like this, that there was a person out there and they did these things and they were relentless, and they stirred up a lot of fear, and were probably them and their unit were what I say made us go back and parlay and make a treaty with the people.
Nice.
It was sort of that recognition of this wasn't going to be something we could shrug off.
Okay.
Okay. So everyone knows him as imposing. Does that make any sense?
I like it. Let's come to Ari. What do you want for your backstory question or questions?
Yeah, I like that first one. So and so reminds me of someone lost long ago. I think I'd like to volunteer Kanta for that, to remind me of Pharaoh.
Interesting. I like that.
I like that.
And I remember Pharaoh was very like short, so I think that decrease in stature makes it make sense.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And for the second one, so-and-so will need my help to survive. I was thinking for Salvo for that one, possibly, but anyone who's got a threat on the map or faction that you're concerned with could step up for that one. Okay.
I think Salvo fits. That makes sense.
Okay, so yeah, Salvo.
She's gotten older.
And what is it that, Salvo, what is it that you're most concerned with that might happen, threat-wise?
Sherry?
Am I muted? Oh, no, I'm not muted.
No, what was the question? I was typing. I can't.
That's okay.
Typing.
It's all good. I do the same. What is it that Salvo is concerned with? Like worried that something bad will happen and you might need my help to survive. I'm just going to take some notes for myself.
Salvo is currently trying to figure out like what all of these magics are doing to the world.
Okay, so protecting, maybe helping you survive the magic.
Yeah, she started to understand that things are ripping and tearing, and that the gods are probably not supposed to be here, and she's trying to figure that out. She may be a little naive about how much of an ally you are, but does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
I like it. Let's, last but not least, come to Line and your backstory questions.
Yeah, so I have, I saved so-and-so from slavers, and I was kind of thinking maybe Pard slip for that, but in this scenario, maybe the lawgivers themselves are the slavers. You know, we've begun sort of kidnapping some of these people from the paupers. And so maybe Line recognized, or sort of maybe even knew who Pardslip was, and Pardslip just got trapped up in this, one of our raids. And that also would give a chance for Line to kind of maybe hear the story of how Terminus actually died, like hear it face to face, hear the real story.
You like that, Ari?
That wasn't for me, was it? I thought that was.
Yeah, because you're programming Pardslip.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Still think I'm Amaranth.
You just can't let go.
I just can't let go. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Great. Any other backstory questions you want to answer?
Yeah, I think also for Salvo, I think if not for Salvo, I'd have been executed by the law. And again, in this case, using my own family as the law that would have executed me, I think, by showing I think maybe Salvo, when we did sort of parlay between our families, I think you spoke very, very highly of my actions and my battle prowess, I guess. And so I think our family was really kind of ticked off at some of what we've been doing that's more violent. And I think Salvo sort of speaking up for me and talking me up to my own family sort of saved me from getting executed by them.
I like it. Let's take our break here. And when we come back, we'll roll into family moves and see what we can get done in the couple hours that we have left here. So let's go ahead and take 5. I did that thing yesterday where I was working on the reskin, little hack thing, getting that all set. And this would be very easy. And 8 hours later, had to essentially reconstruct the impulse drive character keeper to bring it up to date. And then I was like, okay, got it up to date. Well, I should make some small changes to make it fit with the Coriolis setting that I'm running. And I was like, oh, well, if I'm changing this, I probably ought to change this as well. And I'm like, okay, well, if I've already gone to the trouble of doing this, I probably should take another hour to redo the gear and these things and get those all consistent. As I cannot just do a little thing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never fallen into a graphical obsession hole. Oh, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently made my very first character keeper in Google Sheets for a root. And as I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, like, I'm a web developer, so I'm just like, well, why don't I? Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to make my own web app that just does all of this. That'll be way easier. And then I get a little of the ways into it. I'm like, oh, wait a second. That's why we do it in Google Sheets.
Yeah.
This is actually not that easy to program.
Yeah. And once you get into those function things, like there are some people who do those sheets that have the little engine tabs where they're referring back to that. And I'm like, there's that Urban Shadows sheet that has the craziest mastery of Excel that I've ever seen. So I bow down to that. Let us come then to the questions of the land, the questions of our state of things. 20 years have passed. This is 20 years later. So this could be a sequel to the Three Musketeers. We are in a world that is much the same, but things have changed. Some of the threats have become places of refuge. The Mouth of Ash, which was mysterious before, has become a place for a faction of the Embers. We've seen the Spectral Pass become a center point for multiple pilgrimages and things. We've seen new families rise with the coming of these the Graft, this new Elvish family. We've seen the Elven Vikings who arrive from outside settle in more here. They probably hold the lands there along the river, but are caught between those sort of two cities. One held by the Paupers, and the other held, I think, still by the Embers, the ruins of Tantus. I believe the Embers still hold. The Crows still dwell in their storm-tossed Ravenloft like city within the Everstorm there. The mists that they have to pass through. There's a storm that can be wildly out of control and dangerous even unto themselves, but it's also a storm that with the lightning strikes can create great fertility in places. We know that. We have seen groups come to venerate the fallen Lich and speak his legacy. I imagine that he left behind books and testaments and things like that. And much like Napoleon, after Napoleon passed away, a lot of people are like, well, the Lich wasn't so bad. He did a lot of the things, got the trains running on time, that kind of thing. So we've got that group there. This Wavebringer, this spike from above, Robert, how long ago did that appear and what does it look like?
I think it does look kind of just like a tower coming from the sky, almost like perfectly cylindrical. You can't really tell where, if it ends, like if you can see the top of it or not. And I think it's well, how long did we say the passing of the age was? Like a decade?
20 years.
Oh, 20 years. Okay. So yeah, I think it probably came like within the last 10 years. And I think at first it just appeared ominously, and people have realized, like, some people stop and study it and have realized that it is getting closer. And so, yeah, it was dubbed the Wavebringer because I think some of the scientists of the land are like, well, when this thing does hit the water, it's going to be a problem.
It's probably already creating some tidal changes along there that having an effect. So the threats that we definitely have, Wavebringers is possibly among them. The Elven Vikings are among them. We've got these Lich followers. We've got two monsters on the table, two beasts. One, the undead god that is still stalking our masks, and we've also got that camouflage beast that still stalks around the land. With that in mind, I'm going to go now reverse order of what we did. And we are going to go, and I want to see what it is that is going on in these families. We're going to start with the crows, and then we're going to work our way to the embers, and then to the silver tongues, and then finally to the spears. So what are the crows up to? What do they need to be doing?
I think so they're sort of in the middle of this war that they've started with the paupers.
Yeah, with the paupers.
Yeah.
The paupers have some treaty on you, but not enough to necessarily get you to stop. But they do have treaty on the spears, and it may be that they will go to call in that chip here soon. So what are you doing?
I think I'm going to claim by force on their city.
Okay, so you're going to make the big move towards them and strike there at, what is the name of that city again?
Destitution is the
Destitution.
current city. Yeah, the current name of it.
Current name. You will change that. So when you direct your family to seize or maintain control of a resource, go ahead and roll with grasp. I'm going to have you roll, and then I want to get a sense of what crow warfare looks like these days.
Do we have a roll for your party?
Oh yeah, it is just below in the basic moves. I'm going to copy that and drop it into the chat here. Vigorously valued, Dodo.
Okay, so that is a roll plus grasp. Oh, I've got so many tabs open.
All the tabs.
This game is the most game.
Yes.
There's a 9.
That is a 9. So on a 7 to 9, choose 2 of those results.
Let's see. I think there's definitely, yeah, I'm going to say there's a cost to the victory, and we hurt somebody.
So I think that you tell me how you attack. Tell me what it is we see. I mean, the crows have never been a massive military force, but maybe things have changed. They've got some new allies. What is the crow assault on this city look like?
I think the time and place of the crows being like silent assassins is sort of over, and I think now they're mostly wielding like actual weapons, like probably mostly like heavy crossbows and things like that. Like they're very much they will still fight hand to hand, but they're mostly attacking from the back and then sending in this army of sort of captured or conscripted people. They're sending those people in to do the bulk of the messy fighting.
Then I think that the obvious thing is you, rather than a sophisticated thing, you send people, and I think you will lose your surplus of recruits. That is the need. So we'll just erase that rather than giving you a new need. And that is what burns against those walls. And the other pick you chose was?
You hurt somebody, the GM will say who, and they take 2 treaty on you.
I think that that needs to be, since they are at least moderately associated with the paupers, I think that it has to be the spears. That some of their people are caught in the city doing trades and so on, and your people have no discrimination about who gets caught in this siege and raiding, and essentially the Spears trade delegation is dealt with, probably in a little more brutal than we would have seen in the past. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I think so. Especially with us sending in these, these recruits, they probably don't even know. They just think they're attacking whoever.
Right. And you will seize destitution for your own. Let us come to our embers, to the family that has been said to be the keeper of bygone lore, the keeper that's supposed to keep the spark of knowledge and that kind of light around. What is Ember up to?
Embers are going to try. Where's my playbook? There it is. This doppelganger's move.
Ooh.
To try to infiltrate the elves, the Viking elves that are at their doorstep.
The ones that taught you this very move, you're going to turn it against them?
Yes. So yeah, I guess I go ahead. Roll subterfuge?
Yeah. So we go ahead and roll subterfuge. Declare that some of the members of target family have been replaced with duplicates. So go ahead and roll with sleight for that.
Sleight is a 2. Get rid of that die over there. 1, 2, 3. Oops, did I roll 3 dice? I did roll. Yeah, I did. Let me get rid of that. Why
sure.
4 dice up there. I'll just re-roll these.
Please.
Up here. So that's 7, 8, 9.
9. Okay. So let's look here. When you activate roll sleight on a hit, you get to choose learn a secret weakness or defense, learn ways to move them quickly and unseen, clues to a hidden strength or unknown history.
So I choose 1, right?
Yep.
I'm going to take the last one.
Okay.
I'm going to learn hidden strength or unknown history.
Absolutely. And actually, let me step back here.
Yeah.
It's a 2-part. It's actually a move that triggers another move. I realize we go first, and it looks like what happens is we do the subterfuge and we resolve that, and then it triggers this move.
Okay. That's right.
Okay. So let's look at the subterfuge and what your pick is there on the 7 to 9.
So
from
choose
subterfuge.
1 from that. Make a research. Let's cause a scandal within that family.
Okay. What kind of scandal?
I think that marriage, it was not approved by everyone in the family.
Okay.
And that there's some people there who are wanting to split off from the elves, or to annul the marriage, perhaps.
So you push on that. I think that, let me look at the summary page. Who else? Anyone else connected with those elves? I don't think anyone else has a treaty with them. So I think there is.
They have 2 treaty on me. I don't know.
Okay.
Because that was they taught me the magic.
Oh, that's right.
For a future favor.
And they have a treaty on me too.
They've got 4 on me. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Then I think actually we've already hit the crows. So I think that Silver Tongues, you will learn when this scandal breaks out, you will see the signs that point to you that the Keepers of the Ember were involved in having this issue arise.
Hmm.
Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Ari, let's have you roll then for the other part of this, your doppelganger's move now.
Okay, so this is just second part.
Yeah.
9 again.
Okay. So you get to choose one of those three results. Do you want clues to a hidden strength or an unknown history?
Yeah, yeah.
They are awaiting the coming of the Wavebringer.
Oh, interesting.
They know something of it, and while it is not of their making, they believe that they can harness it for their ends. Does that seem fair?
Yep, just typing it in. Perfect.
Okay. Let us come then to the Silver Tongue. Silver Tongues, you've learned of some of these things. Your family is still on its back heels. Mood is -3. What are you doing? How are you acting to try and bring your family back from the brink?
So yeah, we have all these problems we need to get rid of, and we have this brand new wonder, and a living-ish god that lives in it. So I think, especially to try and deal with the the medicine need, the Melloc detox, and now virus. I want to go petition Eobon.
All right. So this will be Uncover Secrets.
No, this is the second part, the fortunes of the visitant.
Oh, okay. So you will go to do this, and you want them to tell you.
I think the visitant applies its wisdom and outsider moral perspective to propose a solution to a problem facing your family.
Okay. Tell me, because we're not doing a full zoom in, but I want to see, what does it look like when Kanta goes to petition? What is our visuals? What is our on-screen shot here of this?
So it's there in the spectral pass, and we had that big first session action scene there with everything nasty and weird and sort of decayed. And here it's shining, it's gleaming, where before there were all these nasty, gruesome, carnal bits hanging from everything. Now they're banners and fabrics and flags that catch the wind and blow through. And I think Kanta has a group of followers with them who, similarly to what we saw before, they start singing this resonance song at the base of these metal structures that calms and quiets everything down as Kanta climbs the entire length of this giant tower by themselves to get up to the top and commune with the gods.
And we see that figure of two who are one, the twins, the lovers, intertwined. That figure kind of come in and out, and they listen to your petition, and then they shift and they take the form of the other Kanta, the older Kanta. It is Kanta in the mask, but tall and straight and imposing in a way that you are not. And you don't think it's necessarily a deliberate slight, but it is something that does strike you. And they will say, we are sorry that in bringing us here, another horror has been unleashed on the world. We cannot act against that horror directly. It would be synthesis, antithesis, it would destroy. But we can tell you how to rid yourself of this disease.
Any help, any assistance in this crisis?
The disease is granted by the wild, undeath, twisted version of the gifts that we ourselves bring. So you must take that broken fertility and you must use it to create a place. You must take that and plant a new location, a new place, to take that energy and put it into the ground. And then you must go away from that place, because what you plant will not be anything that you wish to see. You must plant a garden of death.
And the seed? What seed would grow this garden?
Take those who have died and plant them head down, feet up.
Oh my. So I'm guessing this is falling under it wants you to remake a part of the world in its image.
I think that is sort of what is.
Or
is
it
being
demands
said.
an act of destruction that will forever scar.
Oh yeah, actually, I think the second one.
Oh yeah.
Choose carefully where you wish to plant this.
Your wisdom is appreciated, and your knowledge is beyond anything we could manage.
Do this, the plague will go away, and the thing that follows you will go, and it will lie down in its garden.
I have much to prepare for.
Okay. Let's come to the spears of Antaeus. What are you up to?
I think that there are a lot of things to deal with the monstrosity that has woken up in dogs, our allies, the silver tongues, and of course our own. But we are a people who have always studied and researched these monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And they've started to turn their eyes out to look for the pattern. And they're starting to go, we need to understand what's happening with the gods that have been brought on, because clearly, essentially, and I think that is what they are trying to understand is what are we supposed to do with these god pieces? Is this making the problem worse or better? And essentially mapping this out the same way that they would of the ecology of the monsters, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so does that seem like uncover secrets?
I think so.
And how many secrets do you wish to spend?
I gotta spend secrets to get secrets. I will spend 2.
Okay.
As a potential alternative,
Yes.
the nest. When a
Yes.
family requests an audience with the visitant, their modifier for uncover secrets is boosted by spending points of treaty with me instead of secrets, if you'd like. But that does involve your answers being tinged by Eobon. It's a choice.
Yeah, I think I may end up there, but I don't think that this
You've
first
got
one.
8 treaty on them.
I do?
You've got
It's-
8 treaty on. Oh no, not on the crows. I'm
No,
sorry.
on the
Silver tongues, you
crows.
only have 3.
But here's the thing: is just the crows have 4 on me, so it's only a net of 4.
Okay.
So
Um,
anyway,
so you can go ahead and spend those secrets now. Here's the other thing: you have a good deal of magic, don't you?
yeah.
You can always spend that magic to give yourself advantage on your roll.
Okay. Now I will definitely roll very poorly because I've put a great deal of resources into this.
Oh yes, we saw a spate of this in Scum and Villainy on Friday.
Oh yes, it was awesome. Okay, so rolling 3 dice
3 dice, taking the 2 highest,
and then adding 2.
adding 2.
See, 6. Oh no, it's actually 8, 9, 10. Woo! Whew.
Okay.
Cruised into 10 territory just barely.
And then we look at this. So what is the question that you're asking?
What is the effect of the gods here in this plane, in this world? And by that they mean that sort of that presence of their sort of essence right here manifested in a place, a thing.
The gods cannot help but reshape. Their presence reshapes the world if they are down here, not merely coming down as avatars, but coming down here incarnate. And many of them, as you know, came down here as a refuge, and some of the kaiju that we've seen have contained elements of them. They are going to keep changing the world as long as they keep coming here, and as long as they stay, they're going to keep changing their world within their sort of sphere and aspect. So some way out needs to be found for them, unless you are willing to deal with that.
Okay. So some way to another place?
Way to another place, or some means of rebuilding the sort of avatar God relationship to give them a connection here. But they cannot be here if you and the other peoples of this land wish to carry on. Eventually, not now, maybe not decades from now, but eventually then they will change the world.
All right. That's horrible. So they're terraforming.
They are terraformed. They are divine terraformers.
Okay. Excellent.
That is exactly what they are. Let us come back to the crows. Crows, you have successfully seized this city for your own. Finally, a second refuge. You hold the middle of the land in many ways, the crossroads. What next for the crows?
I'm trying to find something to do with all this treaty.
Well, how are you surplus-wise?
Surplus? Yeah, I could use some surpluses. I mean, ideally, the crows want to just get rid of the paupers. So at some point, they want to make their way over and take over the kingdom of paupers. But we're probably going to need recruits to get there. I think, Yeah, I think I'm going to try and claim by force again.
Okay.
I think they're going to once again start doing that thing where they are conscripting people to get recruits. Except in this case, they're going to start trying to conscript the dwarves into their fold. So they're going to start claiming by force some of the dwarves, kind of raiding down there the Durin dwarves.
Diving down deep into the dangerous Underdark, a faction that has for some time remained neutral. Our lawgivers have certainly turned in a darker direction here.
Well, you got to raise an army to uphold the law. You can't uphold the law without cops.
Absolutely. And these dwarves have kept themselves neutral, which means they also have no allies. These are not the iconoclast dwarves, but the other ones. So let us have you roll to seize by force.
Yeah, that's an 11.
That is an 11. So choose one from the list.
I am going to, you need to commit more assets to securing it. Tie one of your surpluses to the resource.
So the dwarves living their best lives, not the enemies of anyone. And then suddenly the crows sweep in, crow masked out of the darkness, seizing dwarves, dragging them up as recruits for a war on the surface. Then I think that to get this surplus recruits that you wish, that you will definitely have to tie weaponry to that. That is as long as you have that, you will be able to hold these dwarves in your thrall, push them around. But if you lose that, then they will definitely rebel.
So does it go both ways, that if I lose my recruits, I lose my weaponry?
No.
Okay.
No. Just that the one there. Let us come to the embers. You will hear word that the crows have not stopped their campaign. They swept into destitution, seized the center, and then in a shocking turn, no one expected, invaded, struck the strongholds, drove many of the dwarves deeper into the old abandoned tunnels, and seized a great number of them to conscript them into their forces. So what is up with the embers now?
Yeah, that's an alarming development. But I do have an ongoing project from the last age that I want to wrap up.
Okay.
If you recall, before I get into that, just quickly, the soldiers of Tantus, which was marked on the map, I renamed it Port of Tantus since the soldiers have been absorbed into my people. And I assume that the port has been rebuilt by now.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
But the thing that I wanted to wrap up was weird science. If you recall, last session, I started to build that. I was supposed to build an observatory, and it's going to cost 1 magic. This would give me the surplus of sorcery. Is that something I could do now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we had said that you could actually spend that at the end of that last age to have it, because you got that in the process.
Okay, so I just mark off a magic and I get the surplus sorcery. All right.
Yeah. And essentially the observatory has come online. I believe we described that it was an observatory that looked rather not to the stars, but into the Earth itself.
Yeah.
Into the place of the somewhat deep carbon down there.
Yes.
So what are the embers using that for? What are the embers planning on? They have this observatory. And they have these sorceries. They've learned something of what this enemy had. What is the next one?
I think could we use that knowledge of the observatory now to turn its power against the look at the map, the wave bringer, because I see that as an existential threat to the coastline, which contains my sacred Dagon's Divide and Port of Tantus. If something happens to that water, I could be in great peril there.
Interesting.
Earth versus sea, so to speak.
I think that would be uncover secrets.
All right.
So how many secrets do you have, and what do you want to spend?
Or you could spend treaty with me if you go talk to the gods.
That is another possibility.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Let me start by looking to see secrets. I got 0 secrets, so talking to the Silver Tongues might be a good idea. Is this conduct diplomacy, Patrick? Is that what you're suggesting?
No.
It's just a change in how you're doing uncover secrets,
Because
and you're
right. So
built
coming
this
to you.
wonder. So you go to him, and you spend treaty to consult with this oracle, with this divine oracle, and look at that. It's easy.
Can't, but what could possibly go wrong? I've got, let's see, which treaty do I have with you? Where's that? Oh, there it is. I've got 5 treaty.
Yeah.
So what do I get for each treaty that I spend? An extra
It's
plus
plus
one?
one. Yeah.
Yep, it's like spending secrets.
All right, I'm going to spend 2. That brings me down to 3. And I'm rolling.
So that's with the plus 2 then, because you spent 2.
Yeah, just plus 2. There's no stat involved.
I mean, geez, if you're spending 2, you might as well spend 3.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. You talked me into it.
You're losing
so
money
true.
not doing it.
Right.
All right. So I'm down to 2, and I get plus 3 on this roll.
Okay, let's have your roll.
That's 12 total.
Look at you. So with a 12 on Uncover Secrets, what is your question? And then you get to choose a additional thing.
How can we best make use of the deep, am I going to say it, deep carbon, the underground observatory to stand against the wave maker or wave bringer, whatever it's called, wave bringer?
Well, I think that the obvious thing is that it can show you the deep, abandoned divine underworld and the way to go to that. And that could easily be a refuge for when the wave bringer comes and does what it does.
Oh, interesting. So this could be a new home, perhaps.
Yes. You have to dig deep, deeper than perhaps is some consider safe, but you can reach down into those places, and your people can survive there.
I know that there are dwarves about. Perhaps they could help in the construction of this.
We'll
cohabitate it. Who knows?
Because you got a 10 plus, you can ask a second question or add to the map a powder keg, a place to shelter from harm, or a barrier that impedes travel. If you were to choose the second of those.
Makes sense, right? I mean, it fits right into what you said.
The god says, there are stairs that reach down into this underworld. And you can take your people down into the far dark down there. And those stairs, Ari, where are those stairs?
They would need to be near the, wasn't this near the mouth of Ash where this observatory is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it's somewhere between the mouth of Ash and the Duran dwarves.
Okay, go there, There are doors that the Dwarven dwarves have sealed for ages because of things that used to live down there, but were used as soldiers in the war in heavens. The underworld is empty and cold, and you can rekindle the fire within it.
Sounds really cool.
I have a question, Lowell.
Yeah.
Does the god look like Amaranth? Or maybe Pharaoh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely will look like Amaranth.
Oh, interesting. Thanks for that, Patrick.
And this divine image of Amaranth tells you, dig deep into the earth, go open up the underworld and take it for your own, and that will protect you.
I shall do so.
So let's come to the Silver Tongues.
Things are going great.
Oh, sorry. I meant to ask. Should I draw something there?
Yeah, put a
some
gate,
stairs,
a gate to hell. Under the underworld on the map.
Right.
So I've been thinking, and I had originally considered, just given our bad recent history and how despicably the crows have been acting recently, I had considered possibly like planting my death garden in the Everstorm or something like that. But while that may fit with how my family feels about things, I really don't think that fits with Kanta and the whole Savior playbook. So I went a very different direction. And I think like trying to think about things in the way that the old Kanta, the original Kanta, the better Kanta would have thought about things, given that that's the form the god took. I think the story really fits in planting that garden in Grief's Echo. It's central. It's this place where the spirits of the dead and the pain of the fall have never really left, but it keeps constantly being reflected back in on itself, so it doesn't spread either. So I think the first thing is, I think I probably want to start with a subterfuge, because I don't love the idea of everyone knowing that I'm planting a garden of death to attract a death god to sleep his death sleep.
Yeah, I think that seems fair. That seems good.
So as we start investigating and setting up ritual stuff there, I want to put a subterfuge down to effectively hide everything that's going on. No one will see anything, probably, definitely.
Well, you have a pretty good slide, as I recall.
No, I have a 0.
Do you have magic to spend to assist you?
I'm gonna spend a magic.
Absolutely.
All right. These 3 dice. I switched to orange dice from yellow dice as Kanta is slowly shifting. No, it's very important. Well, that's a 9.
So on a 9, choose one thing your agents achieve.
What represents what I said better? It's either they make a resource appear less desirable or hide my involvement in it. I guess it's hide my involvement in an act.
Yeah, I think it will hide your involvement in it. There are some signs that you were involved, but it will take a deep investigation. Someone would have to really go there and go into this place once you've built it to find out who made this. Does that seem like a fair way to handle that?
Yeah, and I don't want to, again, I don't think Kanto would frame another family, but you may frame someone else in their place. I think this just looks like the spreading effect of the corpse god.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the easiest explanation, obviously.
Do you want to then do this? Do you want to undertake this task?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there something that would represent that?
Yes. Could I please have you roll hold together?
God. So I've got a great great. Oh wait, that's a -3.
Do you have any magic?
I do have some magic.
Maybe you should spend magic to assist you.
So this is this is appropriately enough magic that I got from the awakening of the corpse god. So this is the like remaining stockpiles of powdered melloc that I managed to gather up before people could do them and spread the plague further.
Absolutely.
So nothing could go wrong with any of this.
Now, do you want to call in a debt?
No.
You could call in a debt on an NPC.
The only one I have on NPCs is the Kingdom of Paupers. No, Kent is so upset and ashamed about this. I don't think they would want to involve anyone else.
Absolutely.
All right.
3d6.
That is a 10 minus 3 is 7. It would have been disastrous without that advantage.
On a hit, you mostly remain okay. Pick one. And I think that the last of the three is the most perfect choice of all.
Yeah, that's true. The danger hasn't passed so much as shifted into a different, more manageable problem? Question mark.
So your people, led by Kanta, go into this place that still has the echoes of the old world, of beauty of the old world still represented there. It is a wonder. It has gifted people with magics and things like that. And you go to that place and you take your people and you carry your wrapped corpses and you dig holes and you bury them upside down, facing towards that. And within a few hours, probably by the time you're burying the last of them, you will already see black flowers sprouting from the first of them. And you will see the black lotus emerging and the tendrils and the thorny bushes as this garden grows and begins to spread. And you will feel that illness leave you and pass into the earth here as you sicken this one beautiful place. And I think we see those beautiful illusions and images that are still hanging in the air here. I think we see them extinguish one by one. And they like a TV set being turned off. They are consumed by this. And then we probably hear the rumbling as your people are leaving of the stony footsteps of the rocky bones of this undead god as it traipses across the land, walks, finds this garden, lays itself down within those, and the thorns and the vines will wrap and cover and bloom across its body. And this place is cursed. Hey, but your people are fine.
It's probably all right or whatever.
Yeah. So I think that, let me take a look here on this. You may remove the need medicine. Does that seem fair?
Yeah. Things are going great.
Word reaches you, Spears, that the undead god, this nameless god, a corpse god, strode across the land, went there to that place, Grief's Echo, and has settled in there, laid down, and has corrupted and blackened that place.
Which confirms our knowledge that this is a terraforming that's going on.
Absolutely. So what's your next step? What does Salvo feel? Because keep in mind, Salvo's part of the group that released the first of these gods.
I know. Yeah, and so here's the thing is she knows that just finding a refuge from this place, a different place, is not enough. I think she has to go and speak to the elves, the ones that know enough about the gods to raise them. Yeah. To find out how it is that you can create an avatar relationship with them. So that is what she wants to know. Because, and I'll say this, she's getting ready for a great work, if that makes any sense.
So this sounds like uncover secrets or conduct diplomacy here.
I don't know which one. Let's see here. How about secrets?
Okay. How many secrets do you want to spend on this?
One.
Okay. Because if you have some treaty on the silver tongues, you could go and consult the god about how to dispatch the gods.
Yeah. Usually I don't go talk to monsters about how to kill monsters. So,
okay.
But maybe some people do those kinds of things. I don't know. That's my theory. And then I'll spend a point of magic too.
Okay. You take sorceries to allow you to pass in to speak with them and to demonstrate your strength. Let's have you roll +1 with advantage.
Okay. Oh, 7.
You will get a question.
How do you establish an avatar only relationship to a place, to a world? Like that, essentially that difference between the place where the gods are and the place where the people are. What is the kind of barrier that must be put between the gods and the world?
You need to link people to the gods because that will change the relationship of the gods to the world. The gods' influence will act through an avatar. It will be focused and funneled through that. And what change they bring will be through a person. To do that, you must take heroes. They must quest. They must take a portion of those gods with them. And they must go into the Psychochromazian cauldron, that crucible, that forge of alchemy, and utilize that to build that connection.
Where is that thing?
It is below the Tower of Xiron.
And that will forge the bonds?
that will forge a bond. Each hero must take a god unto themselves and be willing to serve as its avatar. Not all gods are gods of justice or honor or goodness.
All right. Okay, then I guess that's an interesting thing that we will have to do.
Let us come back to the crows. Let me ask you this, because I want to get a sense of this. The crows have been very aggressive, very destructive, very very warlike, and on the one hand, that seems to fit with Line, but on the other hand, you've also established Line as an outsider to the lawgivers. Like the times they've acted in relation to the other PCs have been going, no, we can't do it that way. And you also chose sort of the outsider, I believe, as your role move. So what is Line's take on what is going on with his people?
I think Line is probably, I mean, he's mostly in favor of this, this whole idea of use the power we have to dispense justice. And while it can look like they've been aggressive, it's really been vengeance and revenge. You know, they took over Destitution. It started as their city. You know, okay, with the dwarves, maybe that was a little aggressive.
I want to get the rationale for conscripting a neutral peoples into this war.
I mean, that was, you know, they are very driven by this need for revenge right now. They want to take out the paupers, and the dwarves they were just there. You know, we kind of get along at this point, I think, with the elves, and the dwarves were a good resource to tap into.
Ooh. All right. So Line has fully on board on this.
Yeah.
All right. So what is next for the crows?
I think the crows would like to uncover secrets.
Okay.
And I'm going to spend the treaty to do that because I have no secrets.
Oh, so you head up to speak to this god.
Mm-hmm.
And how many treaty are you spending with the Silver Tongues?
I'm going to spend 2, which will leave me with 1.
Okay.
And that is, that's a 6. If I just spent that last one.
If you just had now, you could conceivably, I believe, ask a favor, probably from the Silver Tongues, to assist you in getting the answer. I would say that they would learn the answer as well if you did that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. If the Silver Tongues are willing to lend aid.
Of course, we've specialized in this age in interpreting and speaking to the god. They're a very special being, and you have to approach them in a certain way.
And your assistance would go a long way. I mean, you know, we're a good ally to have.
Then let's have you roll your treaty with the crows, Patrick.
I have 1, but so you're having problems communicating with interpreting what Eobon says, and I think what the problem is that you've just come with this very like straightforward sort of minimalist, you are a god, tell me things approach, and that's Eobon must be wooed and sort of cajoled into this, and so he set up this elaborate performance and sort of day-long ritual ceremony, and pick up a second treaty with them to help that out a little.
Okay.
As I put on a display of beauty and wonder. 7, 8, 9.
Okay, so that will push it up to a 9. So you get to ask one question that both you and the Silver Tongues will now know the answer to.
How can we best make use of the Wavebringer?
We'll tell you what the Wavebringer is so that you can know that. The Wavebringer is a vessel. It is a transport. It is a way of moving through. It is a vessel that moves between the planes. It is, at this moment, rudderless, and its fall obeys other rules, which is why the fall seems so slow, but is in fact falling at great speed. And when it makes contact with the surface below, it will wipe away a great deal and change things. To make use of it, you would have to take control of it. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, I
Okay.
like that.
Let's come back to the Embers.
The Embers are seeking out the council of the Duran dwarves. We're going to conduct diplomacy with them.
Let's have you roll with reach.
Okay, my reach is 1. Nine.
So you get a secret.
Yeah,
and you had to have help from a third party to get contact. Who would have assisted you in making contact with the dwarves?
I'm going to ask Salvo, would you be willing to help me make this contact? Have you had dealings with the dwarves? Sorry.
Yes, they were among those
Yes.
peoples recruited to fight the Lich.
Yeah, so I think that would be a very helpful connection to have to get talking to them.
Then you will give to them a treaty.
Okay, mark that before I forget.
What is it you want from the Duran dwarves? This is the council, the deep council that has fled against the predations of the crows.
Yes.
You know, they're in sort of refuges in the deep places.
Yes. I would like access to a tightly guarded location item. I want to know the way through the door down into the bowels of the earth.
You seem a young one to want to consign yourself to the underworld.
There are signs that the surface world will be under threat from a new danger from the sea. Are you aware of the Wavebringer?
We've heard of it. It has been told to us. Parge slip.
We wish to quietly move our people and those who are allied with us down into this new sanctuary below the earth.
There is a reason our people locked that gate.
Well, what exactly? Can you tell me about it? Perhaps the risk is worth it.
It is the underworld. It is where the dead went. It is where the gods of death ruled.
It is also the resting place of our people, those who bravely gave their lives to fight the Lich.
Maybe your people, dwarves, don't go to those places. But I tell you what, this world is topsy-turvy. It is undone. It is not an age that we have any good fortune in. So we must go against our old ways. We tried to remain neutral, and as a result, we have suffered at the hands of your surface-dwelling peoples. We will give you this key. And he takes you to this massive, massive stone gate in the deeps, like deep enough that it's cold, icy cold down here, and deep enough that your ears pop. And he takes you to this massive gate, huge stone gate, and he hands you this small silver key. And he says, "This is the place. This is the way. Here is the key."
If the tides change, you are welcome to come with us down below.
We'll see.
I thank you, sir.
Don't thank me yet. Let us come to back to our silver tongues then.
All right. So, I mean, that was upsetting and a little dark, but at least things are taken care of. This god is put to rest, and I really can't think of anything that would disturb that rest at all. I mean, unless like some idiot messed with a gate into the underworld or the Deathlands or something like that, but that would never happen. So, disaster taken care of. We're just going to turn our attention away from it and not even look there anymore. But there's this whole new disaster on the horizon, the Wavebringer, and the only people that have any interest or know anything about it are the crows, and we don't trust them very far. Plus, their whole interest seemed very much around like, hey, let's ride that giant death ship. That sounds fun. They're probably not great to deal with this disaster.
Okay, that seems like a reasonable set of statements.
That's all true. So I think Kanta would, basically get on or commandeer any ship that they could at the coastline and sail out to be as much directly underneath the Wavebringer as possible and try and study the impending disaster, because that's sort of what they do.
All right, then. So this is you spending secrets, right?
No, this is a character level move, the Courage to Conquer.
Tell me about this.
So it's when you assess the risks of a disaster, roll plus steal. And since it's not actually happening and sort of in the future, that's why I was putting them directly underneath it as close as I could get to it.
All right. Let's have you roll with steal.
Yeah. And I think... Oh wait, magic doesn't work the same way on a character scale. Yeah, I'll just go straight forward.
Okay.
Thing, there, stuff. You guys.
You can spend secrets to get advantage.
I ain't got no secrets.
Oh no! How did that happen?
Can't even imagine. Oh, that's 6, but I think I have a +1.
But your steal?
Steal, yeah, I do. +1, 7.
So that is a 7. So luckily, you aren't annihilated by coming this close to a plane traveling high velocity death missile.
Sweet, sweet.
Tell me what your question is.
So I already know the main danger that it's presenting, but what hidden danger has yet come to pass? It's yet to come to pass. There we go.
When it hits, it will certainly cause a physical change here. But it will also rend things, allowing gods who've been unable to get through via the breach and other things to come through to bring the rest of the pantheon, bring the rest of the family along, and hopefully for them reshape this into their essentially Mount Olympus.
Good. So, crashing tsunami disaster followed by God War Part 2.
Yeah.
Cool.
How do you figure that out?
So I think it's those like prophecies and future tellings from the songs and the stories of the past. You know, as Kanta has solidified their sort of position over the past couple of decades, they've edged out those prophets and sort of made that whole line of leadership less prestigious. But I think they're realizing that they had the answers and the knowledge that could have easily and quickly dealt with this sort of thing, whereas now Kanta's just got to go back and start grasping at straws and rumors that are long cold.
I like it. I like it very much. You learn this, and it will probably cut you to the quick to realize that all of these things you already knew were coming if you'd only recognized what the poets said. Let me cut to Salvo.
So my family has the Titan alert. Can I use this for the essentially to alert the other factions that the gods are terraforming and we need to move along, or
Absolutely.
essentially to figure out some way, and that, we know these things, we have some information, but we all need to turn our energies to this thing.
So you are going to contact them.
Yes.
and tell them all. Yeah, absolutely. You have already set up for this. And let us, we will see a scene where we see representatives from your people going to each of the other PCs, presenting before them and telling them what you have learned, showing them the evidence, showing them the proof of this thing. Salvo, who amongst the three of them do you speak with personally?
The crows, because they aren't mucking with the gods like the other ones are. Or I guess they aren't deeply into those things. So in some ways they are the most like us and the most detached from the power coming from the gods that way. Even though their place is strange and weird, it is not a manifest. They're the most like us.
Okay. Then we do that scene. This also, by the way, triggers your doomsday research. So you now have 6 hold to use against this threat.
All right.
So Line, where does this meeting between you and the elder of the the spears take place?
I think it probably takes place in Shriago City, formerly Destitution, and I think I've like taken over their like former Capitol building or something, you know, like some kind of town hall they had.
Absolutely. Probably, and this is, of course, just, you know, a few months ago when you slaughtered some of the Spears people, but they come to you and give us the 30-second elevator pitch that you give Salvo to Line.
Oh, essentially that they're the lawgivers, and these are the laws that have been broken. The breach between the gods and our world has been broken. The gods have come here. They are taking our place. We are not powerful enough to fight them, but we can go to a new place. We can try to find a new place. But in order to do this and free ourselves, we will need, you know, such as she'll tell the story about the Avatar thing and going and finding that thing, questing, and then reestablishing the laws between the world of humans or of people and the worlds of the gods. That right now they are taking over our world.
What does Line tell Salvo? How does Line react?
So the plan, just to make sure I got this straight, is to give ourselves up as avatars and then uphold this law and keep the gods away?
That we would do that once we find the new place, but it's not like they found the new refuge. She's hopeful. Yeah. But you guys know about the Wavebringer. So.
Yeah. So, okay. So Line would react, well, you know, there's the Wavebringer. Surely you've heard of the Wavebringer. It could take us away from here. I mean, it is a vessel. We would just need to commandeer it somehow, which, trust me, our brightest minds are already on the case on that one. But surely if you're able to provide some aid, we would appreciate it. But that seems like a ticket out of this land.
We are willing to go along with your harebrained scheme because we have our own. So yes, this sounds great.
Now, is your plan to take the people out of this realm or to take the gods out of this realm?
Ooh. That's interesting. We have had those discussions with the elves and that thing. What is the sense of how taking the gods out of this realm would look?
That'd probably be more involved.
I think we're going for simple then.
Then with that in mind, I cut back to the crows. You've heard this tale, you've gotten this information. What is your next step?
So we definitely want to go along with that. Of course, we want to take the people out of this land, but only the people who are willing to follow the law, not these paupers. They just have no respect for the law. So it would be a little bit weird to ask a god how to carjack their vessel.
Yep.
But I don't have any secrets to spend, so I can't really spend secrets.
One of the ways to get secrets is to go and speak with other families, conduct diplomacy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go.
Or you can always roll with 0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't say that you have to spend any.
Sure. In that case, yeah, I'll go ahead and uncover secrets and just make it a straight up roll and see if we can discover the best way forward for
Do you have any magic? Because you can spend that to give yourself advantage.
I have no magic. Actually, wait, do I? Yeah, I do have 1 magic, so I will spend that.
Yeah, because you're losing money not doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Then let's have you roll 3d6 with advantage.
So that is 10.
That is a 10.
Yep. Would have been a 6 without the magic.
Ooh. So, what is your question?
Yeah, so I guess how do we commandeer the Wavebringer?
Heroes will need to go aboard and prove themselves worthy of taking it up. Not unlike becoming an avatar of a god, you have to connect yourself to the ship, and it will take more than one solid, sterling person to do this, to actually seize it, take control. And then because it is a planar ship, it is not a question of taking everybody to a particular place. They can just be there. However, it is dangerous because this thing is a complex, falling weapon of a kind, and doing that badly could have bad repercussions. With a 10 plus, you get to ask a second question or add to the map a powder keg, a place to shelter from harm, or a barrier that impedes travel.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and ask a second question because it's kind of related to that.
Okay.
Which is, how do I remove my need for transport, specifically transport that could get us to the Wavebringer? Like, what would be the best way to get up there?
The best way to get there would be to convince the chameleon-like flying monster that can carry a number of you and make its way through the barrier that it's in its interests to take you there for its own survival, because it's not going to survive if the gods take over, and probably not going to survive if this big wave thing hits.
Okay, well, that sounds easy enough.
Yeah. Let's come to the embers.
Okay. I would like to go with deep knowledge here.
Okay.
So I have a well-curated and extensive store of records on certain fields. Mine is magic and artifice of the glorious past, which could potentially cover what's down below.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get to tell everyone a fact about it and gain fleeting advantage on that information. She will tell you something you can do to gain one magic from the subject. Yeah, so the fact that I'd like to present is that whatever is down there, you'll be protected for going, for being down there. But there's also the power of everlasting life, becoming an undead in order to preserve yourself. This may even be a way to bring back Amaranth.
Absolutely.
And Mother Pharaoh.
Absolutely. Going down there, you will find them, you will save them from whatever has become of them, and you will save your whole people.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong with that?
And yeah, you'll gain magic by doing it.
By just going down there? That's all I have to do?
Taking your people and moving them through the gates of the underworld into the deep dark.
Given the threats above and the imminent danger, I think this would be the wisest course. So I am going to make that big mass migration of my people.
May I have you please roll?
Yes.
Hold together.
Sure. So do I gain one magic, or is that contingent on all this?
That's contingent on you going down there.
Okay.
Then you'll gain the magic.
All right. So I'm rolling all together. That's plus mood. My mood happens to be quite good at the moment. It's 4.
Yeah. So, oh, wait, it's 4?
Yeah, I've got 4. Is it 4? The difference, I've got no needs. I've got 4 surplus.
Well, hold on one second, because there is a move that happens when you get to that much surplus.
Okay.
Let's deal with that first, actually.
All right.
I
That's
have
not
that
one.
too.
What? You goofs.
Yeah, I thought that was something you elect to do, not a trigger.
Let me check and make sure on that, because I could be wrong. It is not a move I've seen before.
That is where it goes, and I actually have a move that finally triggers off of this. This hasn't happened.
Oh, so
yet.
you also have the 4 move?
Oh God, I don't have a 4 move, but I have a family move that triggers off of other people being flushed with resources.
Oh, that's cool.
When
got this
mood
chain
would go
reaction.
over 3+, you have to erase one of your surpluses and pick one. Sell off the excess for a magic. Gift the excess to your allies and gain advantage with reach until the end of the age. Make a show of power, gain advantage with grasp. Finance network informants, gain advantage with sleight. Or invest in better equipment and gain one more gear option. So do you want to get that magic there by selling off a surplus?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that. So
And
I gain
Patrick,
magic.
yeah.
and
You gain one magic, and which surplus are you expending on that?
Progress.
Absolutely. Patrick, tell me what happens with that trigger there?
So what it is that anytime someone falls into excesses, they come to me for their partying or consolence or consolation. There we go. That's the word. So you obviously find a troop of the silver tongues to celebrate your massive wealth with. And out of that, I get one secret, and you share one of your surpluses with me. Which doesn't mean you lose it. It just means I get it.
So which surplus do you pick up?
Out of the embers, I'd go with sorcery.
Okay. So you may mark sorcery as a surplus.
I knew you were going to take that.
You keep it.
Sherry, you also would trigger that, so unmute yourself.
Yeah, so there's something like I can give one of my surpluses to another family and get something.
Give the excess to your allies, and you gain advantage with the reach stat until the end of the age.
Okay, so I am giving barter goods to the silver tongues.
Okay.
I'm literally giving it to them, right?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. And then,
And you get advantage with reach, and so you mark off barter goods then.
okay.
Let me come back to.
Oops, knocked off the wrong one.
Let me come back to you, Embers. Now with a +3, almost no chance that this could go wrong.
Yeah.
Roll, hold together as you lead your people into the underworld.
All right. 11.
Look at you all riding your way down into there. So this is that. Let me scroll over. 10+, you are brought closely together. You're going to gain surplus morale.
In addition to the other results.
So you have to choose one of the ones above. Do you lose people to harm or desertion? Like, oh, I'm not going to underworld. Or does somebody come in to help you? Or does the danger just morph?
I'm going to give one treaty to the silver tongues if you're willing to have come through to help me.
Oh yeah, silver tongues organized your party. Your farewell party.
And I gain surplus morale. Okay.
And the embers in great mass, led by Pardslip, head down into the deep dark, into the underworld, which is empty. It is as you were promised. There are magics down there. It's how you gain a new magic. And it is deep and strikingly quiet.
For now.
Let's come back to the Silver Tongues.
I also have a wonderful idea that definitely won't go wrong.
Please.
So what I've been noticing about this age and this new Kanta is that where the other Kanta had that high sway and was very into like working with other families, this Kanta, I think, takes a lot of responsibility on themselves and doesn't really seek outside help. So there's this whole problem of like a whole ship full of gods landing and they're going to spill out everywhere, but they're just refugee bits of gods clinging to some ship that hasn't even landed anywhere yet. Whereas,
Well, let me give you the fiction here. We know
Okay.
that the ship is actually empty. When the ship hits, it's going to rip open the world, and the gods are going to come through. That's the fiction that's being established. I just want to make sure that we're on board on that.
Gotcha. I still think in order to deal with that, like I'm going to Eobon to work up another quest and miracle. And my sort of idea there is getting Eobon to the ship before it can crash and the other gods can get to it, that they could exert their influence on it and stop this disaster, stop the gods from flowing out in some way. Basically, I'd like to like their avatar plan. I want to try and mirror that and offer Kanta as an avatar for Eobon to travel to the Wavebringer. Does that make sense?
That is an interesting question. So you're petitioning them for a boon.
Yes.
And you want it to place its force at your disposal in a conflict.
Yes. I mean, they're an entirely benevolent force. Their ways have been harsh, but they've done nothing but help us so far.
This is an interesting question here.
And looking at the session that we have left, I'm not necessarily looking to achieve this. I'm just trying to set up the dramatic conflict.
It says that you can do this, but you will no longer be you. And your people will not recognize you. They will not see you. And you will lose them.
This whole age
there will be no songs sung about you. There will be no poems, no lyrics, no operas, no anything. It will be as if this Kanta never was.
Kanta has brought strife and disease and disaster over and over again. Maybe it's time for that to pass.
So be it. And I think that this Kanta that you're facing takes off its mask to let you see the true face of the gods. And I think that is probably the last sight that this Kanta, as it stands, ever sees. Salvo.
So we've got a plan with the Wavebringer, and I think that it would be about getting the heroes to go down into the under the tower.
Well, it seems that's a separate thing. If you're taking the people out of here, then you don't need to worry about the avatar creation.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That was this idea of living side by side.
Ah, I get you. Okay then. Yeah, I think it will be getting ready to do the wave bringer, because that
Are
actually.
are you the one then that is roping this monster into helping you?
Yes.
Does that seem fair, Robert? So you may conduct diplomacy with this monster. You have 6 hold that you can spend one of those hold to get advantage on this.
Yes. So I will spend 3 of those hold.
You can only spend 1.
Okay. I will spend 1 of those hold.
But you have done it, so now you have advantage with reach.
Okay, and I have advantage with reach and +1 then?
Yeah, let's do it that way, I think.
Because I already have advantage with reach for the end of the rest
I want
of
to
the
make, I want both these things to pay off. So let's say +1 with advantage.
Okay.
And what is your reach?
My reach is 1 apparently. I don't know why.
So roll with advantage and a +2.
What's the difference between grasp and reach?
Grasp is used for claiming by force.
I think I had those switched then, but that's cool. We'll do it. That was my conception of those, but that's.
It is a little close, and
yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. I just it was I myself hadn't. Okay. So here we go. Let's see how this goes. So that's a 12 + 1. It's 13.
So
he just wanted to be friends all along.
I think it is that Salvo goes and faces the old foe. And as much as Salvo is aged, this thing has aged. And you're both old. It's probably got a cataract in one eye. And it is that communication, and it will say, if you give me a berth on this place,
it would be unkind to do otherwise.
Then the bargain is made.
Let us go, old friend, old foe.
We need to go to epilogues. We are at the last 10 minutes here. Robert, I want to start with your epilogue, I think. I'm going to save Aries for last because Aries is a little bit off to the side, but I think we have this sort of chain of things that are going on. Let's start with the epilogues for your family, for Line. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I think Line, the whole plan was, lead our people and, the lawful people of this land, lead them out of here. And so I think working together with the Spears would get aboard the Wavebringer, would leave the dwarves behind, leave the paupers behind. They haven't proven themselves as lawful people of this land. I think would probably offer the elves to come aboard. They've only been, they've been a little nice to us. But I think for some reason the elves decide to stay behind. So I think most of at least the elven Vikings don't even come.
And the other elves believe that they can strike a bargain through these forests. That makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's the thing with the elven Vikings too, is they think, well, we use the gods for magic, so of course we can deal with whatever they bring. We'll just deal with them like we always have.
So you and the Spears both have some say in this. As we see the montage of you arriving, going into this ship. We'll come to this Spears here, and I want to get her answer. But tell me what happens first to the Silver Tongues, and how does that complicate this situation? Is it okay for you to build on that, Patrick? Does that seem?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Silver Tongues in general are, they're sort of holing up. They're staying quiet off in the fringes of society. as Kanta takes like the last small contingent of their remaining troop off to the Wavebringer. I think when Line and the refugees that he's bringing show up on the Wavebringer, there's this like there's a control room sort of bridge section in it. And as I think as they get there to the heart of the controls, Kanta is standing there with like the strange, unearthly light shining out through the holes in their mask. And even though they're facing you, they turn as you come into the room, and as they turn, their back is also the front of Kanta. It's like there is no back. There's another mask. This one seems like they straighten up and stand a little taller, and they just say, "Thank you, Line. Thank you for bringing everything I needed exactly where I needed it." As Line was one of the ones that went to Eoban several times, but I think it's perfect to then pass it off to Sherry because they never did.
You like Line, like the Kanta, have some say in who is brought on this ship.
Yeah, and I think there's that thing of we've gotten to the ship, and the thing is there's a very heavy duty like thing of who travels with you is based on the conception of who has control, and Line has like excluded a lot of people, and Kanta has brought on a god, but Selva has no sense of this. And so essentially she has an entirely different sense of who it is. It's all the humans that are still on the surface and the creatures that were not of the gods, like all the mortal stuff. And there's this sort of weird shifting. And I think that what ends up happening is that there literally are 3 different payloads. Does that make any sense?
The plane ship kind of shifts into 3 different ships.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that that your intention creates these different phase ships, as these will split off in different directions to different other planes to escape to, even duplicating people in some cases. What happens, Ari? They're gone from this world. Let me ask you this. Your family, do they stay in the underworld? Do they, when the phase ships come, do they go there?
Yeah, I think as the ships are arriving, our elders are speaking with the Duran dwarves, and we've made an agreement that we will never open the gate from the inside, and they will seal us in. That is sort of like, that's how they allow this thing to happen. It's a mass migration. We know that this huge environmental disaster is about to happen. Our people go down, and it seems fine at first. But what we don't realize is this voice of Pharaoh and Amaranth calling us deeper and deeper. The further down we go, the more the disparity is between the time down in the underground and the surface world. So that as this voice calls our people deeper and deeper, first it's years passing, then it's centuries, then by the time we reach the deepest levels of this place, the eons are passing within moments, and we just don't realize it. So this state of undeath is actually a change in time. We just don't realize it.
Absolutely. And as the 3 ships split and go off to their different planes, there's probably a 4th ship that does impact and hits the land and will crack it open, rift, gods flow in, and the land that is up above is divinely terraformed. I imagine at some point, even before he realizes it, Pardslip is probably the god of death in the deepest parts as time has passed. And that's where we're stopping. So that was Legacy, Life Among the Ruins. That was something.
That really does live up to the title, doesn't it?
Yes. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a few minutes to do stars and wishes for this last session, since we're wrapping this up. Let's do the same order we just did. Let's start with wishes, things you would have liked to have seen more, things you have questions about, all of those kinds of things, and then we'll do stars. Robert, let's start with wishes.
Wow, there was a lot all at once.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess the only wish I guess I would have liked to complete my war on the paupers, but that's fine. No, other than that, I mean, I didn't get to use my family moves much. I mean, especially not in that last session. So I guess, yeah, it's kind of hard to fit in those lawgiver moves with an overarching divine war.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing is that the family moves are hard to reconcile sometimes with one another. And I suspect what I want to do going forward is like checking in, especially at the turning of ages. And if people want to re-choose their family moves, letting them do that as one of the options, like swapping them out if something hasn't been working, if they can find other ones that they would want. And that's a really good point, that the family moves maybe aren't as well used. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's really just like the lawgivers, especially with like an overarching like huge kaiju level threat, or even higher than that, than having like what are the cops doing?
Yeah.
What are the cops doing while Godzilla is rampaging?
It is a scale question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good point. Patrick, wishes?
I have a similar sort of issue, in that I literally used no moves from my family until this session, when they triggered off of those flush with resources. And part of that is like one of my RPG player philosophies that I've been trying to ingrain in my head is that I don't take reactive moves, and those, like, both of the moves I chose were reactive based off of something else happening first. But I don't know, the playbook seems to be sort of set up that way, and it's hard to play out.
We had a conversation about this a while ago, and that's made me go back to Hearts of Wulin and remove some of the playbook moves and things that are triggered by other people's actions, just because that is a tough road. Yeah, I think as a GM, I need to be looking more at those moves and maybe even talking with the players about, okay, you've got these moves, how can we get those to the table?
And it's a hard thing. It's just the like the basic character and family moves are so very, I need something more specific, but then like my family moves don't really fit or something like that.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is a modified I wish we were playing longer, in that obviously I wish we had more sessions, because this is a cool world, and we got to the end and just like made another apocalypse to live through, which is very interesting. But I think the constraint of sessions pushed us into a certain pace where we had several, like this session and another session, where it was all family level stuff and very little like smaller level stuff. I think we navigated that more interestingly this time than the first time. This was a little less like dry, we're just doing more family moves. But I think if we didn't have that pressure of this, the last session, we got to get things done, we would be more free to like dip slower down into like character moments, extend some of these interesting conundrums rather than just like, this was lightning round disaster
Yes.
scenario here. So I love the story. I just I could wish the pacing had played out a little different, but that would have taken more sessions.
I think that's absolutely fair. It is something. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to run Legacy again in a 1 month slot. I think it's going to be at least 2 months, because I think that gives us, just a few more sessions to make sure that everybody gets a Zoom and such. I think that's fair. Sherry, wishes?
Yeah, I think related to the moves, this is a game where like reading your moves deeply and having real intentionality to like, how do I use those? How do I bring these to bear? You could see there was a big difference between my play, I just want to do this thing, and Patrick's, like, clearly like leaning very deeply into his character's abilities and those things that made them special, and also all of the basic moves and things like that. He had that real intentionality that let him really get a lot more done in a given thing. It does reward that. And I think it would be good and fair of you to warn your players to sit with the rules for a bit, because it is, when the game becomes tactical or strategic, that's when it pays off. You also get deeper play. You really do. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah. This is maybe not the most, what's the word, casual of games.
This is not for scrubs, apparently. No. I will also say, I think your Kaiju Threat Alert is a really interesting move, but it is also a move that I don't think is that great. Like, I think it's not that awesome. It's a great fiction. It's a great idea about doing something, but actually how the mechanics of that roll out feel kind of wonky to me.
I'm not sure how you tell where you solved it in time or too soon or all of those things. I'm like, how am I judging those? I don't know. So that's the thing. I liked the idea of it, that there is a thing that's what my family does. To me, it was just hey, I do this thing and fiction falls off of that. So I was fine with it in that sense. I didn't understand the mechanics of it, but that's okay. I trust you.
Ari, wishes?
Yeah, actually this session, I've managed to do all 3 of my family moves. But I did so at the cost of having less interaction with the other player characters.
Oh, that's a good point.
So that is sort of a fine line to walk. I did a bunch of the general moves as well, and some of them kind of like pulled in other players. But I really had to struggle to think of ways of like, how am I going to engage with this other player? I really wanted to do that this session, but I also wanted to do my character moves. So yeah, it's a balancing act. It's a player issue, really, because you have to pay attention to all those moving parts and make sure you're choosing them correctly.
I'm going to say this. I think that you're absolutely right. I wish there were more valves for treaty. Like, treaty is consistently built up. Treaty comes up all the time. There is that treaty move, but it's such an aggressive move in some ways. That, and I wish there were another 1 or 2 obvious valves to use treaty, like either a way to convert treaty into secrets or something like that, to make that an easy, okay, well, I got 8 treaty with the crows, I'm going to burn off 4 of that to get a couple more secrets, something like that, just to make treaty feel more tangible and useful. Because much like the other times we played it, we built up big reserves of that until Patrick built that wonder at the end that gave us another valve. And we saw, once that was in play, that changed the dynamic. So that's really interesting.
That's what I was going to say. Once we had another use for it, suddenly treaty was story material and it was resource and people were using it again. It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, let's do stars. Robert, let me start with you.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of doing stars for everyone, I mean, I do just stars in general that we did all come together and collaborate. Like the end there did require a lot of give and take, I think, on different things that our families wanted to do. Especially, yeah, probably I'd give star to Sherry, just coming together and figuring out how the crows and the spears could intersect. I mean, very different goals, but they did it, identifying that they did have something in common, because I completely missed the thread there. Like, yeah, neither of us have really been messing with the gods on that level that they're doing. That was really good. And I didn't make that connection until you said it. And I was like, oh yeah, we can actually work together. That was really good.
Nice. Patrick, stars?
I want to say mechanically first, since I did like trash my playbook a little bit. All of the things in my family playbook that weren't moves, and like everything in that storyteller character playbook was just dripping story and gave me so much to go off of. So I didn't feel abandoned by my playbook. I was just like, man, I wish I could have used some of the active moves more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this... So I think I talked about before, we've talked about before, like Legacy hits that part of my brain where like all the possibilities and moves are laid out there, and I'm focusing on all of those and only hearing like every third word that someone else says every now and then. Like I'm trying so hard to pay attention, but I don't always catch it. But even with that, session by session in this run, we managed to, as a group, like hone in on these different themes and these surprising new elements in the history of the world, so that even when our families were going off in like 4 different disparate directions, the thematics were there, and the sort of recurring pieces and inspirations kept going back and forth and building up, so that everything felt cohesive, everything felt like this world, until we got to the end here, and just like all of the crazy nonsense that we were doing, digging down into the underworld and splitting ships across realities and going to different dimensions. It all felt very right and in world, and just the next logical step. And so that was beautiful to see over and over again.
Definitely. Really good stuff. I will say I hadn't realized until this session how much this game is microscope played out at the ground level. It really is, there's because you have so much opportunity to add things to the world and to the bits and change things up. Sherry, stars?
Yeah, well, I don't know how many of you do, but I think at least some of you have played like 3, 4, 5-year campaigns, slogging through, hitting enemies, interacting with NPCs for eons. And after those 3 years, you look back and there's like 6 pivotal events that made all the difference, and things that you always go, oh yeah, I remember that. This is what this game is. It's just like, it's all of the best bits of those big long campaigns. It's got that kind of juice to it, where you're doing the things that are important, you're leaning into what you want, and I mean, you stop and the dice are still affecting things, like big time. You have setbacks, you have the thing, and you're interacting with the other players, but you're interacting, it's like it's like on the what things are important to your character, except it's what things are important to your family. It delivers a whole big long campaign in a very short time. It's impressive. It kind of blows my mind. And you guys are all wonderful.
Ari, I'm going to give you last word.
Yeah, so you have this epic fantasy opera that's happening between all of us, and then you have this map that's, it's this sort of this connective tissue that keeps everything together. That's what I really love about this game, this artifact of play. This map is there, it's present while you're playing, but it's also present after you've left the game. As far as this particular session, I really loved, even though I was kind of divided a bit with my activity, everything that the 3 of you were doing was informing my activity. That wave bringer thing that everyone was kind of like going for was this sort of the obverse side of the coin that pushed me down underground. If you weren't doing that thing, I wouldn't have the pressure of doing this thing. So that worked out really nicely. I was really, really satisfied with that ending.
Yeah, love the Wayburn. Nice. Everybody, whenever you added stuff to the map, it was so rich, and I think we hit nearly everything that's on the map we saw interactions with. Thank you all very much. That was great. I had a super fun time. It definitely is an easy tweak over to fantasy, which is my bag. So it was great to play out. Thank you all. And I'm going to stop the stream.